Ooh, another patch note. Let's see what's inside. Hello and welcome to Splat Talk, where I let my mind talk about stuff related to Splatoon in general. Version 4.6.0 of Splatoon 2 is now due for release on April 3rd, and in the meantime the patch notes were released. I'll be going through the patch note translation from Lin on Twitter at LinYoshi, while giving some additional info straight from the patch notes that I translated with Google Translation. Which is not great, but that will do. Let's get into it. So for the Sploosh-o-matics, we now have a faster acceleration when swimming in squid form. The Splattershot Juniors have 14% less ink consumption. The aerosplays now paint larger droplets. The minimum damage for the Gal 52s has been increased from 26 to 30. This minimum damage is what you can inflict at the very least with the fall-off damage of the shots, and it has been increased for the Gal 52s. The N-Zaps have 6% better foot painting and a main power-up curve buff, which means that the effects will be increased with fewer amounts used. The Luna Blaster will be able to recover ink 5 frames faster after a shot. The Gal 96 also have an increase in minimum damage from 31 to 35. For the ink brush, apparently there's that translated line that reads "adjusted the damage attenuation rate to make the amount of damage fall slower than before." I don't know what that means, but my guess will be that the decrease in fall damage output will be slower for the ink brushes, which means you might be able to hit harder with the fall damage since their damage output will decrease a little less slower. Otherwise, they have a new main power-up ability that they share with the Octobrushes, which is better painting while running with the brush. The E-Litre 4K weapons will do 17% more damage to Splat Umbrella Shield, 20% more damage to Undercover and Tent Umbrella Shield, 23% more damage to Bubbles, 4% more damage to the Booyah Bomb Armor, and 10% more damage to Splash Wall. The heavy Splatlings will have 3% faster run speed while charging and 6% more run speed while unloading the weapon. And the main power-up curve has been nerfed for the Splattershot Pros, meaning that instead of 3.1 of amount for 49.9 of damage for each shots, which is equivalent to 1 main and 7 subs, a little above 3 mains, you will need 3.9 of amount, which means 3 mains and 3 subs of main power-up for 49.9 of damage. Also, from what I understood, after version 4.6.0, 2 subs of main power-up will have the same effect as 1 sub before version 4.6.0, which means that even the base amount of 1 sub has been nerfed. Curling Bomb also has faster ink recovery after throwing it, 5 frames when not charging, up to 15 frames after fully charging it. Curling Bomb Launcher has 18% faster initial speed and travels further now, but no changes for maximum charge. And Bubble Blower now has 5 frames less launch time, special power-up buff, and the bubbles have an increase of 8% of paint radius when touching the ground. Haunt has been buffed so that instead of 30 seconds, the effects will last until the person tagged with Haunt dies, and so you can now tag up to 4 persons with Haunt. For the Stingray, the silhouettes of the enemy behind the walls will fade right away when starting to shoot, which was not the case before because it disappeared only after the special was shot and not right before. And finally, Ink Resistance Up got a bunch of minimum buffs for this ability. And at last, for the special points required, Splash Shot and Hero Shot Replica decreases from 200 to 190, Classic Swiffer from 180 to 170, Tri-Slosher Nouveau from 180 to 170 as well, Ballpoint Splatling Nouveau from 230 to 220, and both Dapple Duelist, not a new one, from 180 to 170. Now, what I can say from this patch is that Nintendo is willing to make life easier for spray type shooters, the ones with short range and wide spread, and push up the Splatling meta given the buffs the heavy Splatlings and mini Splatlings got recently. Also, they seem to have heard the concerns about that epidemic of main power-up Splattershot Pros and are trying to fight it in their own way. I think they're going in the right direction, as in nerfing the damage output with any amount of main power-up worn, but it is still technically possible to do 49.9 of damage. so in a way the epidemic will still be here. I even heard the concerns that the effects on main power-up on Splatshot Pro in Splatoon 2 were a mistake. But then again, these concerns were not really solved back in Splatoon 1, so... That being said, even if they give the E-Litre 4K a bunch of buffs, it still won't be viable to me as long as I won't be able to splat opponents without fully charging, much like the Gutuber does. I've come back to Splatoon 1 for a short time, and when I duked out the custom E-Litre 3K scope with damage up, I could really feel like I was a powerhouse with this weapon. And not because of its range or because the Wii gamepad was much more comfortable for this kind of weapon. Not even because of the Kraken, but because this weapon was a viable option that could allow for more aggressive plays and more efficient capabilities with the ability to splat opponents quickly at any distance. Also, people are somehow relieved that Ballpoint Nouveau now needs 220 points of special charge in order to fire Inkstorm, but it's still gonna feel like the joke of the new Splatling meta. Like it's still somehow sluggish with its long-range fire mode, but even if it's due to the nature of the weapon, I wouldn't be against an increase in run speed while using long-range mode on this weapon. Also, I feel like the developers want to encourage people in using the N-Zaps more, especially the N-Zap 85, which has the same kit as H3 Nozzle Nose D, but compensate its lower damage output and range by getting more mobility, and with better foot painting comes even better mobility with this weapon, which helps closing in on the H3D. Well, unless there's a literal gap between you and the opponent or he's on higher grounds. Do keep in mind that most changes in version 4.6.0 will also apply to the weapons of Sheldon Speaks 2, Tenta Camo, Permanent Ink Brush, N-Zap 83, Sploosh 7, etc. Overall, there does not seem too much that will be changed in the meta besides the new weapons, but even these few changes will be interesting to watch once the patch rolls out. That's it for this video. What do you think of version 4.6.0? Is it another game changer or not? Do you appreciate or fear some of the changes that will occur with this patch? What weapon of Sheldon Speaks do you anticipate the most? Has this patch changed your opinion on it? Hare or tortoise for Springfest? Let me know in the comments, and if you want to suggest another topic I can splat talk on, then feel free to suggest as well. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification for more Splatoon and other stuff too. This was Stardust Sonic, and I'll see you next time. Bye!